Nation of Fitin10, welcome to day 24. We are officially, if you can believe this, officially just past the 1/3 mark. 1/3 through. And we've got a scan, you've got your scan, your second body scan coming up this week, right? Thursday and Friday, one of those days. And if you are one of those people who is struggling and you feel like you're way behind, especially on your food, I'm going to highly encourage you, more now than ever, to set some sort of targets to improve. Now, this doesn't mean everything has to be perfect, right? It just means setting some targets to improve. Set yourself a baseline with your food. For example, whatever it's going to be. I'm going to make all my meals this week. Okay, so even forget about your macro targets. Just, I'm going to make all my food so that you're not eating out, right? Because eating out is a big no-no in this challenge. Set yourself up and strive for more progression if you're really struggling. It doesn't have to be perfect, but set some standards and then start working towards those. When you fulfill those standards, even if they're just little, even if they're just little steps, you will feel so much more confident and you'll feel like you can take on more. Okay, more of your feedback, so let's get into it. Cardio before or after weights and why? Okay, so I did talk about this a couple videos ago. I'm gonna go a little bit more in depth into this. And of course, we should always preface the question with, what are you trying to achieve? So I'm gonna sort of cut the chase and I'm going to make the assumption here that when you're training with weights, your goal is to improve lean muscle mass and strength. So with that in mind, we'll talk about that question. If I were to say to you, okay, what's your goal? My goal is to improve stamina and muscular endurance. We may go about this a different way, or I may have different reasons for you to address those types of goals. But for the sake of this challenge, yes, we are trying to, at the very least, preserve muscle mass, if not build some muscle mass, and definitely we're trying to improve our strength. So, do we do cardio, or do I recommend cardio before or after? Well, you may already know the answer because I talked about this. I recommend doing the cardio afterwards. However, even before a strength training workout, you can do 5 or 10 minutes of cardio. In fact, I would recommend it, and this will help just with overall general movement and just getting some blood flow around, waking up your nervous system, even slightly harder cardio, okay? But I would really just probably suggest just doing something along the lines of 65 or 70% of your max heart rate, which is what you're doing for your warm-up in your cardio routine that I give you. So why cardio after weights and why not before when it comes to addressing or targeting an improvement in muscular strength and muscle hypertrophy, okay? Muscle growth, building lean muscle mass. Number one, we conserve quick energy. We're conserving sugar and glycogen for our training. And this way we have more energy, more fast acting energy for our training. Number two, you will be less catabolic. All right, so what does this mean? It means you're going to burn away less protein while you're training. And you may not care about that, but that's actually a really, really important part, because part of training is breaking down, right? Part of training is breaking down. We're breaking down to build up, which I know it seems like you're taking two steps back to take 5 steps forward. In some kind of way you're doing that, but that is just the process of stimulating muscle growth. We need to create some muscle damage. But we lessen that damage by not doing cardio beforehand. Number three, your strength will be better. Now this kind of goes part and parcel with number one. You have more fast acting sugars or energy at hand to work with, but also just from the aspect of just energy production. We haven't been doing cardio where we're trying to produce an excessive amount of energy over time. We have greater energy reserves in store, whether we're talking about the sugars at hand or we're talking about phosphocreatine in the muscles the currency for quick, high force muscle contraction. Number 4, you'll burn more fat. In theory, you'll burn more fat, more stored body fat if you do the cardio after training. Number 5, you may reduce some soreness by doing cardio post-training. Now, there's going to be some debate about this because some people might say you are actually hindering your recovery by prolonging the recovery. But you could also make the argument that by doing cardio and getting blood flow, we are getting some of those metabolites out of the musculature. And this is going to help to reduce some of the soreness. Number 6, well, I already said this, you may prolong your recovery. Number 7, dehydration. If you do your cardio beforehand, you might be more dehydrated for your training. And this is, you might think that hydration is going to be more conducive for cardio, and of course it's going to be important, but you need those minerals, you need those salts and water. That's what hydration is, not just water. You need salts and water during your muscular training, during your strength training. You need to be well hydrated for your strength training. Okay, you'll have much better feeling of energy, and obviously you're going to minimize the chances of cramping. And number 8 here, there is going to be potential loss, and I already touched upon this. There's going to be potential loss in the creatine phosphate stores in the musculature, especially if you're doing hard cardio, especially if you're doing intervals. Okay, so keep all those things in mind when you're weight training for muscular strength, muscular hypertrophy. Let's get the message of the day. Today's message, and it's one that a lot of people don't like hearing, but I'm going to say it because it's so true. Sometimes the truth hurts. Success begins and ends with personal responsibility. Success begins and ends with personal responsibility. Identify what needs to be done and take action. The more that you take responsibility for, the more likely you will be successful. The more that you say, I don't have any control over this, I can't, this is out of my means. If you have that belief, the chances of changing your situation are very, very small. In fact, they're probably 0. But if you believe that you can take responsibility and you can initiate the change, well, then it becomes much, much easier to change whatever it is you're trying to change, right? Positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, and for the love of God, give some gratitude, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Book your scan if you have not, www.calendly.com/train on me. See you guys.